Hello everyone. Today I am going to reveal the course outline for the semester fall 2020, and our course code is Phrm 1205. That means 1205, and this is the Physical Pharmacy 1 course. So let's move on about the course outline for this semester fall 2020. Before proceeding on to the specific details of our course outline, I would like to provide you a brief discussion or brief importance about the studying of Physical Pharmacy 1 in pharmacy. That means why we should learn the Physical Pharmacy 1, or we should conduct this course as a pharmacy student. Okay. You see, you know that in the market there are different types of dosage form, ranging from solid to semi-solid to liquid, and there are lots of dosage form that is in the form of gaseous state. For example, the inhaler. These are dosage form which comes in the form of gaseous state, and there are lots of liquid dosage form. For example, the syrups, suspension, then the salines, different types of salines that is pushed into the vein or in the artery, intra-arterial, intravenous, IV bolus, different types of injections, which are also different solutions of drugs. For example, the injection that is, for example, the injection of antibiotics, or the tetanus injection, which is employed after cutting with the iron-made substances. For example, the knives. Whenever your hand or everything, any other part of the body is cut with knives, then you have to take the TT injections or tetanus injections. These types of injections, they are solution. And for the problems of gastric acidity, we have to take drugs like the antacids. These antacids may be in the semi-solid form, known as the suspension, or maybe in the solid form, such as tablets. We also have capsules. So you see that the different types of drugs that are available in the market have different physical form. It may be gaseous, it may be liquid, or it may be solid. And they also have different characteristics. You know, the pH of our pH of our stomach is, empty stomach is 1.5. That means it is highly acidic. And most of the drugs have a different definite pH. Every drug is either acidic or basic. So we have to know about the compatibility of the drug with the stomach. And you also know that the pH of the blood is 7.4. And this pH remains stable over the addition of a small amount of acid or a small amount of base. So there are some buffers that is working in our physiological system. So before the manufacturing of drugs, you have to take these things into consideration, so that the drug should be working very faster, should have minimum side effects, and this would be more stable. That means after manufacturing the drug, it will take a longer period of time for the drug to become deteriorated. So all these things I have already told you that is related to the physical pharmacy. That means the physics of the drug. Physical pharmacy, basically it is the application of physics and chemistry in the study of pharmaceutics, and this course involves an analysis and application of the principles of physics and chemistry in various important sectors of pharmaceutical science that is applied today. Okay, by studying the physical pharmacy, we hope that you will get the integrated knowledge of elements from the mathematics, chemistry, and physics, and you can relate the drug dosage form, design, development, and preparation, as well as sterilization and evaluation. I hope you have understood the importance of physical pharmacy in the course curriculum or in the viewpoint of pharmacy students. That means we are studying basically chemistry and a combination of chemistry and physics. Most of the part is chemistry and some of them are related to physics. And this physics and chemistry is totally related with the form of the drug, the interaction of the drug with the body, and different types of characteristics and properties of drugs, and some other factors that is related with the stability, compatibility, and so on. So what should we are going to what should we learn about the physics or physical property that is related to drug? We are going to learn about the gaseous state, which is directly related with the inhaler or these types of dosage form, which are in the form of gaseous state. We are going to learn about the solutions. Solutions are related with the liquid dosage forms. We are going to learn about the pH. We are going to learn about the chemical reactions. These are all things that generally happens whenever we take the drug, and this knowledge of these things are also required before the manufacturing of the drug. So let's move on. The objective of this physical pharmacy. Number one objective is to enable you to have fundamental knowledge, outlook, and expertise related to the study of physical and chemical properties of pharmaceutical dosage form. And you should be able to apply this knowledge in the performance of future professional responsibilities. You should gain knowledge for better understanding the chemical and physical phenomenon that governs the in vivo and in vitro actions of pharmaceutical products, which which you might be preparing or dispensing in the future. And you should become an expert in terms of different types of methods used in the calculations of concentrations of solutions, tonicity, predict stability and compatibility. Perhaps you have learned about the pharmaceutical mathematical calculation, that means chemical calculations known as the calculation for molarity, calculation for molality, calculation for mole fraction during your HSC curriculum, HSC study, and we are going to memorize, or otherwise we can say we are going to take this in little bit further through our physical pharmacy 1 course. We have to calculate the amount required to prepare a solution with certain molarity, and a new term that may be a new term for anyone, normality, that will be introduced in this our course. So you will be able to calculate the concentration of solution. You will be able to adjust the tonicity of drugs, and there is a chapter which is basically related to the pharmaceutical technology that will enable you to predict the stability of the drug. This prediction is known as accelerated stability testing. So overall, we can say that this course will help you to mix the art and descriptive science for the quantitative application of fundamental physical and chemical scientific principles for the pharmaceutical system and the dosage forms. That means you can apply this knowledge both in the design of the dosage form as well as during the manufacturing of dosage forms, and you can also be able to predict the stability of this dose. You can also be able to know how this dose is going to be interacting with the patients, and you can modify the dosage form for its better pharmaceutical effect with minimal side effect. Okay, I would like to mention here that physical pharmacy is the basic subject, and this knowledge is blended with the pharmaceutical technology, and pharmaceutical technology is the main subject that is applied for the modification of the drug, design of the drug, manufacturing of the drug, manufacturing process, and that instruments or machineries which are applied for the manufacturing of the drugs, etc. So to be expert or expertise or have a sound knowledge in the pharmaceutical technology, you have to be good at physical pharmacy 1 and physical pharmacy 2 also. Okay. Sorry for that. Our class will be evaluated by some assessment strategy, and our class will be delivered with the following teaching strategies. We will have a class lecture. This may be delivered in the form of pre-recorded forms, and the important terms will be discussed in the live class. You will have to solve some homework and home assignment. Some of you may be asked to answer some questions or demonstrate some actions. You can have group discussions because we have already Facebook groups known as the Facebook Messenger groups also, etc. And our lectures will be delivered mostly in English, and technical terms will be simplified in easy English and can be explained in Bengali terms for better understanding. And depending upon your capacity, all these things will be revised or reshaped. Okay, how will you be evaluated? That means after delivering the lecture, how can you judge yourself, and how can we will be judging yourself that you are learning well or not? For the judgment of your learning progress, there should be a shortened test, maybe viva voce, short answers, matching, discussion, true false, MCQ, mock test, assignment, class test, etc. There should be a class test. Definitely, there will be class tests and assignments, and other things may not be definite for every class, but these things will be implemented throughout the entire semester. Maybe one class might be encompassing the shortened test, one class might be encompassing the viva voce, some classes may have short answers, etc. Now the recommended books, you have to buy, or you have to manage these books for better understanding of the terms used, or the course curriculum used in the physical pharmacy 1. Number 1 books is the Principles of Physical Chemistry, written by M.M. Hawk and M.E. Nawab. Martin's Physical Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science, written by A. Martin and J. Sorbrick. This book, Martin's Physical Pharmacy, is the main textbook for physical pharmacy students, but it is written in American style English, which is quite difficult for us. That is why we generally go through, or we study. We will take the help of the book that is written by the Indian writers, namely B.S. Ball, D.C. Ball, and Arun Ball. They have written the book Essentials of Physical Chemistry, and we will be using this physical pharmacy textbook, Essentials of Physical Chemistry, as our textbook. This book is written by Bangladeshi writers, Principles of Physical Chemistry. This is American standard writing books, written books, Martin's Physical Pharmacy. And there are also some books that might be helpful for you for better understanding of this entire course. I would recommend you to have either the soft copy or hard copy of this book, that means Essentials of Physical Pharmacy. This book will be very much helpful for us during this entire semester. And the soft copy of this book is available in the Essential Pharma Documents, this blog. You can easily download the soft copy of this book. Okay. Now let's move on the course. This is the marks distribution. There will be at least 4 class tests, inshallah, and the class test encompasses 10 marks. This might be the average of best 2 class tests. That means after completing the 4 class tests, the best 2 class tests will be taken into account, and the average of these 2 class tests will be added to your final grades. That means you have to take part at least 4 class tests into at least 4 class tests. Among these 4 class tests, we will be taking into account the average of best 2 class tests. Best 2 class tests, average of best 2 class tests will be added into your final grade sheet. You also have you will have a presentation and assignments, and presentation and assignment carries 5 marks. Attendance carries 5 marks. Midterm will have 30 marks and final will have 50 marks. This is the total 100 marks for marks distribution of this semester. Now, this is our chapters. This course outline has been designed for physical classrooms. The number of the class might be greater than that has been indicated in here. In fact, the number of classes may be 1.5 times greater than the number that has been mentioned here. It has mentioned that this course will be accomplished within 28 lectures, but in actual practice, there may be more than 28 classes, maybe 30 or even 40 classes. In the last semester, we had 42 classes in the physical pharmacy one. So the number of class will be much more higher than that has been written in this course outline. So these are the topics for the class. This is the chapter properties of gas, and this properties of gas chapter will enable us for better understanding the gaseous dosage form, as I have mentioned earlier, like the inhaler or something like that. Our next chapter is solution. Solution chapter will help us for the understanding of different types of solutions with particular concentration. And solution chapter has the mathematical problems that is related with the concentration of solution. Solutions could have different types of concentrations. It may be dilute, it may be concentrated. Also, it have different types of concentrations regarding the amount of solute. Solutions may be prepared in the normal form, known as the normality, molar form, molarity, or molar form in the molality. Solutions also have mole fractions, mole percentage, etc., etc. The solution chapter is very important. It will provide us the light of mathematical knowledge, as well as the basic concept or differences between the solution, suspension, and other liquid dosage forms. Okay. Then comes the ionic equilibria. I've already mentioned that our body has different types of pH in different parts. The stomach in the empty, when it is empty, has 1.5 as its pH. The blood has 7.4 pH. So there is a relationship between the drug and the pH of the body. Before designing any drug or before administering any dosage form to the patients, you have to consider about the pH of the body and the pH of the drug. So we have to know about the pH. What is pH? How does the pH is regulated? What is the mathematical problems that is related with the adjustment of pH or finding out the pH of a particular solution? This will be helpful for us in the practical life when we would deal with the drugs which are in the liquid dosage form, or at least every drug that is administered through the intravenous route or intramuscular route, or that means the drugs which are injectable drugs which are eaten through the mouth must go to the blood, and the blood have a pH. So we have to know about the interaction of the drug both with these routes of administration. That means the interaction of the drug with the stomach, interaction of the drug with the blood. And since this stomach and blood both have different types of pH, so we have to know about the pH in details. And the ionic equilibria chapter will provide us the knowledge of pH and the determination of different types of pH for acid and bases, salt solution, etc. Next comes the buffer capacity. You know that buffer is a solution that resists the change in pH of its own pH. Buffer is a solution that resists the change in its pH, its own pH. And this changing is due to the capacity of the solution, which is known as buffer capacity. And this buffer system is also present in our physiology. That means our body contains different types of buffer system. The buffer system, one I have mentioned earlier, was the buffer that is present in the blood, known as the bicarbonate carbonic acid buffer system. Buffers are also present in the protein. That means there is a protein buffer system in the body. So since the drug will have either an acidic or basic value, and this will affect the buffer system of the body, so we have to know about the particular characteristics of the buffer. What is buffer? How does the buffer is regulates? And how can we prepare a solution that have a definite pH value? Or how can we prepare a buffer solution that will have a definite pH value? In your practical life, you have to prepare different types of solution that have a different pH value. For example, if you are trying to simulate how does a drug is dissolved in the stomach, you have to create an environment that resembles with the stomach. To create an environment that resembles with the stomach, you have to know the pH of the stomach. This may be 1.5. Then you have to prepare a solution that will have a pH exactly 1.5, and this solution will not be affected by the addition of the drug. So to do so, you have to know how you can prepare a buffer solution, and that is why you have to know the preparation of buffers and isotonic system, etc. Okay, then is the chemical equilibrium. You know that chemical equilibrium deals with the equilibrium state. Most of the chemical reactions have the property that it goes in the forward direction at a particular rate, and after some time it reverses its direction. And whenever the forward reaction of a reaction, forward reaction, the rate of forward reaction becomes equal with the rate of reverse reaction, this particular condition is known as the chemical equilibrium. And since drugs contains different types of chemical substances, and our body also contains different types of chemical substances, there are interactions between the drug and receptor in our body. And after taking drug, there starts a cascade of different types of events. So we have to know about the chemistry or chemical equilibrium. That means the reaction kinetics in our body. Depending upon the reaction kinetics, a drug may be working for a longer period of time, or some drugs may be working as a shorter period of time. You know that paracetamol has a dose that has to be taken every 6 hours. That means in 24 hours, you have to take 4 drugs. But NAPA extended, that also contains paracetamol, have to take only 2 times in a day. That means you have to take 1 drug, then it passes 12 hours, then you have to take another drug. Why? Depending upon the chemical reaction or chemical capacity or releasing capacity of these drugs, the doses form and the frequency of the doses are changes. So for better understanding how the drugs interacts with the body in terms of chemical reaction, we have to know the chemical equilibrium. Okay, now another chapter is colligative properties. Colligative properties are some properties that is related with a particular characteristics. These properties are related with only one common characteristics, that is the number of solute present in the solution. Suppose you are boiling a pure water, it will boil at 100 degrees Celsius temperature. But if you add some salt or if you add some sugar in the water, it will not boil at 100 degrees Celsius. Then you have to increase the temperature, because after adding the sugar or salt in the water, the sugar molecules and the salt molecules will have to also will have to be heated, and they will also take part in the boiling process. So to make these molecules to boil, you have to provide more energy, and to get the more energy, you have to increase the temperature. So that is the basic concepts of colligative properties. That means you have to change the temperature for boiling after adding something in the solution. So these properties are also very important for designing the drug and understanding the boiling capacity or melting capacity or freezing capacity of the drugs. We have to sometimes we have to put the drug in the refrigerator in the freezing conditions. Sometimes we have to deconstruct the drugs. This understanding of the colligative properties will help us to know how can we preserve the drug for a longer period of time. Then comes the phase equilibria. You know that phase equilibria, um, you know that we have different types of physical forms that moves that is surrounding ourselves. The brick is solid. This is a solid phase. Mm, and the water is liquid. This is a liquid phase. And the air is the water vapor is gaseous. It is a gaseous phase. These types of phase might remain in close proximity with each other. They may have been stayed in a particular place at a particular temperature and particular pressure, and we have to know how can we keep three types of phase at a particular temperature or two types of phase at a particular temperature. And this is very important because the principle of phase equilibria is described in terms of phase diagram, and the phase diagram is used for the lyophilization of freeze drying or cryodesiccation. And some of the drugs or biological products that are very much perishable, and they are made of proteins, but and you know that whenever a protein is heated, it becomes denaturated, and that is why you cannot dry an egg by heating it. So you have to devise any way so that you can dry these types of materials without affecting its property. And phase equilibria will provide us this insight that we can use the principle of phase diagram for drying these perishable but thermolabile substances. For example, an enzyme, monoclonal antibodies or enzymes which are perishable, but you cannot dry them by heating because they becomes degraded when you heat them. So what can you do? You can apply the principle of phase rule, basically the principle of phase diagram, and you can make them powder, or you can make them powder or reconstructible other forms by removing the water from these substances without heating them. And this process is known as freeze drying or lyophilization or cryodesiccation. So to understand the lyophilization and cryodesiccation, we have to know the phase equilibria. And finally, we have the chapter chemical thermodynamics. Thermodynamics and thermochemistry, these are the longest chapter. It is a very fundamental chapter. Thermodynamics means the dynamics of heat, thermal energy. Whenever heat transforms or moves from one form to another form. And the study of this movement of heat from one body to another body, or one particular form to another particular form, or one object to another object, this is known as thermodynamics. And thermodynamics has a huge implications, huge applications. Our body could be regarded as a thermodynamic system. The whole universe can be regarded as a thermodynamic system because our body has heat and we can exchange heat. Every time, every seconds, we are losing heat, and inside our body it is generating the heat. So there is a movement of heat between the environment and our body. So our body can be regarded as a mode of thermodynamics. But in case of pharmacy, thermodynamics has a huge implications because the temperature has a direct impact on the degradation of the drug, the stability of the drug, and the activity of the drug. If you put a drug in the sunlight for a longer period of time, it might be deteriorated. So we have to know how these thermodynamics work. And inside this thermodynamics, we have also a chapter which is known as thermochemistry. Thermochemistry have Hess's law, and thermodynamics have different types of thermodynamics law. First law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, third law of thermodynamics, etc. And these different types of thermodynamic laws have different implications. We have to know how does the movement of the atoms occurs. If you freeze any substance, the movement of the atom generally decreases, and after a certain period of time, the movement is totally ceased. And this perfect condition when all the movement is ceased is known as the perfect crystal. And these types of effect of temperature on these atoms are dealt with the thermodynamics laws. So since we are made of atom, our drugs will be made of atom, and everything around us is made of atom. Obviously, it is everything around us is made of atom. So we have to know the movement or heat into or out of these systems, and the effect of temperature on the atoms, and how does the chemistry. Whenever a chemical reaction occurs, there may be a generation of heat. There may be uh, and they may produce heat or they may consume heat. For example, if you dissolve the glucose in water, there will be a cooling effect. This is known as the endothermic reaction, and that means it absorbs the heat. Whenever you dissolve detergent in the water, this generates heat and it becomes hot. This is the exothermic reaction. So thermochemistry deals with this, the generation of heat and the transform of substances from one form to another form by the implication of heat. After sweating, whenever we sweat, after sweating, the perspiration becomes evaporated, but we are not heating this perspiration. How does it happen? It takes the latent heat of evaporation from our body. So there is a movement of heat. Whenever a chemical reaction occurs, it is accompanied by the generation of heat or absorption of heat. And these types of phenomenon is dealt with the thermochemistry. And since our body has different types of reactions always happening inside our body, and our body is generating heat. Whenever a drug is entered into the body, it will also have similar types of effect. It may generate heat, or it may accelerate heat, or it may reduce the temperature. So we have to know how does a chemical reaction can be affected by the heat. How can we promote a chemical reaction? How can we slow down the chemical reaction? How can we increase the degradation rate? How can we decrease the degradation rate? So everything regarding these chemical reactions and chemical phenomenon will be dealt within this physical pharmacy chapter, along with only one chapter from the most of the chapter will be chemistry, from the chemistry, and along with only one chapter from the physics. And you have to know that the lecture plus may have revision according with the needs and competence of the students, depending upon your competency and depending upon your needs. And this lecture plan may have alterations. Okay. You have to pay your attention, as well as you have to put your attendance. You have to write your comments in the Google Classroom to get your attendance. Besides writing your comments in the Google Classroom, you also have to be present whenever your roll calling will be performed during the live class. The Google Classroom comments will be the primary attendance, it will be the main attendance, and the roll calling will be a secondary attendance, and it is the roll calling will be the verification process that you have been present in the, you are present in the class. That means the roll calling will be verifying yourself whether you are present or not in the class. I have also mentioned that you have to manage the textbooks. You can buy the textbooks or download the textbooks from Essential Pharma Documents. Makeup class, there will be no makeup class. Particularly, there will be no makeup class. If it requires makeup class, I will inform you earlier. And there will be no makeup exam, particularly for CT, there will be no makeup exam. and you have to you can ask your questions through your messenger group, and it would be better if the answers are delivered by whoever know the exact things. For example, somebody is asking for whether the tomorrow's class will happen or not. If you know that tomorrow's class will not happen, then you should answer that no, tomorrow's class will not be happening, or tomorrow is a holiday. You can answer the question. It is not necessary that every answer should be delivered by myself. If anyone from the group knows the exact answer, should respond the question from anybody from the class. This is a good practice. Okay, and we have got our this YouTube channel. You can find all the lectures in the YouTube channel. Okay, and at the end of this, we have got this syllabus for physical pharmacy 1, and it has this 8 chapter. This is the biggest chapter, chemical thermodynamics. We will be starting with the properties of gas. You have studied the Boyle's law, Charles' law, Avogadro's law, Dalton's law, ideal gas law. This has been taught to you during your intermediate class. All of these stuffs, all of these laws will be, we will be learning those laws again, but the medium of instruction will be English here. And you know the ideal gas law, P is equal to net-T. How does this ideal gas law comes? Everything will be taught in the class, but the medium of instruction will be English. So I would suggest you that please collect the textbook from the intermediate first paper of chemistry. If you have already collected the first paper of chemistry book, I would like to congratulate you, because it will help you in a way that it would be very easy for you to understand what is being teaching in the classroom. Whenever anything is delivered in the classroom, after delivering or receiving the class materials or class lectures, and after accomplishing of one class, if you are facing any problems, just goes through the Bangla books. The Bangla book has a much more content than we are going to learn here. This is the Bangla book is very much enriched. So I would like to suggest you that please collect the Bangla book. This will be very much helpful for you. If you are out of the situation that you cannot manage the Bangla book, you can download the Bangla book from the Essential Pharma documents. It also have the PDF of the Bangla version of intermediate second paper and first paper chemistry books. It is also have the second paper physics books for the intermediate students. You can also download that book from the Essential Pharma documents. And before starting the class, you must have the book, because this in every class we will be doing some mathematical problems. So before starting the class, you should prepare the class. And the preparation will encompass the management of Bangla books, management of English textbooks, particularly the Essentials of Physical Chemistry by Boltoli. You have to bring the calculator, or you must manage the calculator, scientific calculator. You have to have pen and paper for writing the problems that is given during the class time. Okay. Each and every class will have some mathematical problems. because we have lots of laws, and these laws are accompanied with different types of mathematical problems. And solving the mathematical problem gives you better understanding of the laws. So I would suggest you to bring calculator or a managed calculator and be present in the class with calculator, pen, pencil, and exercise book, as well as textbook, both in the Bangla and English version. That will be very much helpful for you. So that's all for this moment regarding the course outline. Hope we are going to finish this course smoothly in this semester with a at least minimum knowledge regarding the physical pharmacy. That will be helpful for us in the long run, particularly the mathematical problems. Solving the skill that is required to solve the mathematical problem will be very much helpful for us. Thanks to all for participating in the class, and thanks to all for listening.